Let me tell you something you won't hear. Every day, I was almost hauled off in handcuffs by two fake cops right in front of my own house, while half the neighborhood stood around watching like it was the main event on pay-per-view. Yeah, you heard that right. Two grown men, polyester uniforms clinging to their beer bellies, tried to arrest me for trespassing on my own lawn. And get this, the self-appointed queen of the HOA was standing across the street grinning like she'd just won the lottery. I guess she thought this was her big moment. Well, let's just say things didn't exactly go according to her plan. So picture this. I've been gone 6 months off on federal business, real federal business, the kind with actual badges, actual authority. The most drama I was expecting was maybe a lawn that needed mowing. Instead, I come home to find two wannabe commandos lurking behind my neighbor's hedge, blocking my front door like they're running some kind of operation. The big one, Sergeant Mitchell, he looked like he practiced his cop face in the mirror every morning, puffs out his chest and announces, "You're under arrest for criminal trespassing on private HOA property." His partner, Detective Lawson, tried to look tough, but mostly just looked constipated. Now, I've seen mall security with more authority than these two. Their badges sat crooked uniforms all wrinkled like they'd come straight from a Halloween sale bin. Lawson fumbles through the Miranda rights like he's doing a book report he forgot about until the night before, and I'm just standing there face pressed to the hood of my Civic, counting the ways their whole act screams fraud. The neighbors, of course, they come out in droves. Mrs. Chen is sipping coffee on her porch. Old man Rodriguez is walking his dog at 1 mile per year, making sure he doesn't miss a word. I've got an audience. These two jokers think they're about to make a scene, but they're about to become the main attraction. I stay calm, maybe a little too calm for their taste. I ask real polite. "So where'd you guys train?" You'd think I'd slapped Mitchell the way his eye twitches. "Can I see your badge numbers?" Just standard procedure, right? Before they can even stutter out an answer, here comes the ringleader, Victoria Blackwell, the HOA president. 50s, sharp suit, silver hair that probably cost more than my whole car's smile like an ice storm in January. She struts over and starts in, "Officers, I called about this trespassing situation. This individual has violated numerous HOA regulations." She gestures at me like I'm a pile of garbage on her perfect sidewalk. I look her right in the eye and ask, "Ma'am, under what legal authority are these officers arresting me on my own property?" Just a little edge in my voice. Her smile freezes, but she keeps the act going. "These are licensed community safety officers with full arrest powers within our subdivision. Licensed by who, I press?" She looks like no one's ever dared to ask her that before. All three of them exchange nervous glances, and I know right then the whole operation is a house of cards. Mitchell tries to get big again, chest out hand on his weapon, which is another giant red flag. He says, "I've got 15 years of experience. I don't need to justify myself to some punk who can't follow the rules." That's about as convincing as a kid with chocolate all over his face swearing he didn't touch the cookies. I start pointing out their gear. Cheap handcuffs, no proper belts, badges that look like they came from Party City. I ask, "What's your department's policy number for weapon discharge? What agency gave you arrest powers?" They got nothing. At this point, Victoria's eyes are starting to dart, and even Mitchell's running out of steam. She finally barks, "You have 24 hours to vacate or will return with proper warrants and additional charges." Now, someone else might have packed their bags, but for me, this is where it gets interesting. As they slink away, Mitchell hollers, "Next time, show some respect when the sergeant speaks, like he thinks he's the sheriff in an old western." I spent that night double-checking my own files. Real ones, not the garbage they were waving around, and just as the sun's coming up 600 a.m. sharp, there's pounding on my front door. Through the peephole, I see the clown show has returned, Mitchell clutching a document with clip art for an official seal. Lawson's blocking the view of the street like he's auditioning for a cop show. Mitchell waves his printout. "I'm issuing a warrant to search these premises for evidence of HOA violations." I ask, "This was signed by which judge? What's the docket number? Which court issued this, county, state, or federal?" Mitchell snatches it back. HOA authority supersedes regular courts. I have to work hard not to laugh in his face. Neighbors are gathering again more this time, all watching the spectacle unfold. I ask for their badge numbers, department policy, supervising officer, basic stuff. They start to sweat. Victoria shows up again, this time in a navy suit with gold buttons, radiating authority like she's addressing her minions. She claims her officers have powers equivalent to police. I whip out my phone. Lawson flips. No phone calls during an active investigation. Victoria asks colleagues in what field I let them stew on that. I keep tossing them softballs. What's your department's use of force policy? What's your policy on challenging federal jurisdiction? Their confidence keeps cracking, and the crowd's starting to notice. Someone in the back mutters, "Are these guys even real cops?" The tension builds until finally, I just let my wallet fall open a little enough to let Mitchell and Lawson see the edge of real federal credentials. Mitchell goes pale. Victoria tries to escalate, arrest him for disorderly conduct, resisting threats. I ask, what threats are they recorded? Mitchell red-faced barks. Questioning a sergeant's authority is the same as threatening an officer. Now the neighbors are snickering. I hold up my phone again. I think I'll make a call to clarify the situation with some people who specialize in jurisdictional issues. Victoria finally cracks. What colleagues? What do you actually do? And then out of nowhere, a new voice. One of the neighbors, retired Air Force, calls out, "Are these guys even real? Their uniforms look funny." Mitchell tries to bark back, but his voice cracks. So I reach for my wallet again, this time slow, deliberate, letting the whole crowd see. Since everyone's so interested in authority, here you go. I open it up. Special Agent Supervisor Nathan Sinclair, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The silence is total, broken only by the sound of Mrs. Chen dropping her coffee cup. The fake cops turn white as sheets. Lawson actually straightens into attention. Victoria's frozen. I say, "Gentlemen, remove those fake badges and place them on the ground." Mitchell's hands are shaking as he takes his off. "Sir, we didn't mean any harm." I tell them impersonating a federal officer is a felony, 3 years in prison easy. Victoria tries to backpedal. They were hired as legitimate security. I have every right. I just smile and say, employing people to impersonate federal law enforcement is a conspiracy, and the financial records for their compensation will be subpoenaed as evidence. 10 minutes later, black SUVs roll in, real FBI agents, real badges, real authority. Agent Chen, my second in command, reads them their actual Miranda rights, each word perfect. The fake cops try to blame Victoria, but the jig is up. Victoria gets cuffed for conspiracy, fraud, embezzlement. The crowd cheers as the imposters get loaded into the SUV's phones, out neighbors recording every moment. A few months down the road, Mitchell's in prison, Lawson too. Victoria's embezzlement earns her a 25-year federal sentence. The HOA's fake police force gone. Property values went up. Neighbors started organizing their own events. Mrs. Chen brings me cookies every week, always calling me Agent Sinclair. That old Air Force guy, he and I became friends, swapping stories over coffee about the difference between real rank and play acting. The best part, the building that used to house the HOA's headquarters is now a community center where people come together because they want to, not because they're threatened by fake cops with plastic badges. Real justice, real authority served up in the most satisfying way. And you know what? I still get letters from people who were victims of Victoria's scheme thanking me for reminding them what real law enforcement looks like. But let me ask you, where do we draw the line between authority that protects and authority that just bullies? Ever had to stand up to someone faking their way to power? Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. And let's talk about what real justice should look like, because out here we all deserve to know the difference.